Good day, this is Ray. Today is Saturday, June 14th, 2025. For me, another day of learning and growing. I hope that you, your family, friends, and loved ones are doing well, staying safe. So this is sort of a presentation that I wanted to do for some time about the 50-30-20 rule. The one thing I hadn't done up to this point was to really give you an idea of how much of my monthly income is going towards expenses. And I'll go ahead and just briefly define what the 50-30-20 rule is. I'll put it up on the screen. So the 50-30-20 rule is a simple budgeting guideline that suggests dividing your after-tax income into three categories. 50% for needs. These are essential expenses that you cannot live without, such as housing, utilities, groceries, transportation, and insurance. 30% for wants. These are non-essential expenses that enhance your lifestyle, such as eating out, such as dining out, entertainment, hobbies, and vacations. And then 20% for savings and debt repayment. This portion is allocated towards saving for the future, investing, and paying off debt. So the ideal chart will look something like this. 50% again for necessities, 30% discretionary spending, and then 20% for savings and debt repayment. What mine looks like is slightly different. This is the real of it. So 65% of my after-tax income is 65%. 22% of that discretionary spending, which, for me, I would actually include groceries in that because I didn't include my groceries and my necessities, but it should be. So at some point I'm going to revamp that chart to include that, but let's say that's part of my discretionary spending. And then savings and debt repayment, 13%. 13% is the additional payments that I'm making on my personal loan. And I do make one additional interest rate payment on my student loan to keep up with the accruing interest each month, and that's roughly $100. But that's neither here nor there, but that's what my chart looks like. So go back to what it's supposed to look like. 50-30-20, mine is 65-22-13. So what's included in the discretionary / necessities, I would say giving, groceries, eating out, fuel, annual subscriptions, buying robots, cooking lessons, dancing, cleaning supplies, going to the movies, educational materials, vacations, dry cleaning, parking, gifts, travel, Rogaine, and buying robots. It all makes sense. That's what's included in my discretionary. Of course, I'm just kidding about the Rogaine. Everything else is accurate. But, okay, dancing lessons I'm not taking. Not taking cooking lessons yet. At some point, I definitely will. So, those are a few of the things. What are my biggest monthly expenses? My mortgage takes up 30% of my take-home pay. HOA payment, 9% of that. Student loan, 4%. Personal loan, 10%. My extra debt payments, 13%. Total of my monthly income is 66%. So, I have a little room when it comes to, being able to do those other things that I showed you in the other chart. What I do want to say about all this is that I'm facing the reality of my situation. My situation is I'm trying to pay off a lot of non-mortgage / consumer debt. My journey technically started 5 years ago this month. It could have started a little bit sooner than that, but that was the chart where I identified the $115,041.89 of just non-mortgage debt. As of today, I am just under 40,000, like 39,000 and some change. But I would love to be in a position where I'm at the 50-30-20 rule. Not there yet. As a matter of fact, I would say maybe for the next few years, I'm going to be most of my income, which right now actually the total is 78%, is going to those monthly fixed expenses. It's probably going to be that for some time until I can fully pay off that non-mortgage / consumer debt. And then I'm going to flip the script, and where I'm putting more money towards savings as opposed to servicing debt. And then I'm going to build that full emergency fund that I talked about. And then I can focus on paying off the mortgage, whether it's this mortgage or another mortgage. It's challenging because I just don't have much left at after each paycheck to do much else. But I purposely chose this path. I purposely chose to pay off my debt, and unfortunately, bankruptcy wasn't an option. It wasn't. It didn't make sense for me to do that, especially with the timing of moving out of my parents after recovering from my illness, or getting better with living with lupus, and then becoming a first-time homeowner. If I had filed for bankruptcy, I definitely wouldn't have gotten a house during the time that I was able to do it. And my interest rate on my mortgage is really low. It's 3.25%. So I was definitely fortunate to have strong credit and be able to get this home. Now, if you go back to the biggest expenses, 30% of my mortgage and HOA payments, so close to 40%, goes towards housing. So, what you're not seeing, like my electricity, my electricity and gas bills are separate from my HOA payment, but within the HOA payment is water and trash, as well as building maintenance. So I would say that the other expenses that I have throughout the month are at 1%, 1 to 2% maybe of my take-home pay. So that's really good. I don't really have a lot outside of that. I do have yearly subscriptions, Microsoft 365. I pay for You Need a Budget. I would say I set aside maybe $7 to $10 a month to be able to cover that yearly expense. And at some point, I will do a presentation specifically about sinking funds, which is what I do to be able to anticipate the larger bills that come due in a year, such as those subscriptions and yearly taxes. But that's another video for another day. I wanted to talk about that 50-30-20 rule, just to kind of put it in your mind as something that you may want to consider, knowing exactly where you are when it comes to how much of your income is going to what. Are you following that 50-30-20 rule? You may not be, but what does it look like? Is it 50% for necessities, 30% for discretionary spending, 20% for savings and debt repayment? That's going to be up to you to figure out. I do want to say, you have to know how to calculate percentages. Excel now has a percent of formula, which I really, really like. It makes it easier. So do me a favor, go to Copilot, ChatGPT, or Google and do a search for how to calculate percentages. Maybe in a future presentation I could just show that, break that down, but I'm not doing that this morning. Just wanted to put this out there as have some type of guidelines when it comes to your personal finance and stick to it. I hope to get down to something closely resembling the 50-30-20 or close to 50-30-20. Right now I'm a little bit out of whack, but that's okay. I'm doing the best that I can with the resources that I have, and just grateful for another opportunity. But anyway, if you made it this far, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so you know when I post my videos. You can find me at youtube.com/adding out of my budget. As always, thank you for watching. You all take care.